Alright, this is part 5 of the Chrome Dinosaur tutorial, and I think in this one we just need to make it look better. So let's just see if we can get an image of the dinosaur and replace this red block with that. So I'm just going to search Chrome Dinosaur Game, go to Images, and it doesn't look like there's anything small enough to just use the image itself. I mean, that guy has a birthday hat, but oh hey, there we go. Maybe this is what we want. So I'll just save this image, and then I'm going to open Piskel, which is an online image editing app, Piskel app, and you can import an image, one that I just barely saved, and let's make it a little bit smaller. I wonder if we can crop it. Whoa, that's giant. Let's say resize and centered, and for now let's just make the whole thing 400 by 400 so that it's a square. And this time I want to resize it. I want to resize everything in the canvas as well. Let's bring it down to, like, I don't know, 64 by 64. Okay, there you go. That's our dinosaur image. Let's export that. Do selected frame export. Let's also get a cactus image. We could do that is to just save this image and then import that one in. And let's say import, browse images, put this one in here, and I'm going to say replace. And I just want the cactus here, so let's select just the cactus. And let's say Command or Control X, drag that up to the top of our canvas and say Control V. And now let's just shrink the rest of the image or crop it around that. So let's say, don't resize that, anchor it on the corner, and let's make this be like 100 by 100 for now. Okay, that got rid of most of it. Let's try 50 by 50. Let's go even further. Let's say 40 by 40. That'll be good. That'll be good. Okay, and we could center this as well. So let's just select Control X, drag to the center, Control V. Oh, and then I guess we'll have to color back this stuff. Alright, we'll call that good. Now let's export this one. Okay, so we've got ourselves the image of the dinosaur as well as the cactus. And these actually need to be saved in the same location as the HTML file. So in my case, that's the downloads folder. And this needs to be renamed just so it's easier to reference in the code. Let's just call it cactus. And then let's call this one dinosaur. Okay. So now let's go back here. Whoa, lovely. But we need to change where we used to just have those red block and those yellow blocks. So let's change this where it says div for the dinosaur. Let's make that an img, which of course is an image element. And then we need to give it an src attribute, which is source. So the file name will be dinosaur.png. And then we also need to get rid of the background color because an image doesn't really have that. Or we don't need it with the image in this case. And then we get rid of the closing div tag. Images don't need closing tags. Okay, so that should do it for a dinosaur. And it also will resize our dinosaur nicely. Let's change the cactus image too. Let's see, where do we spawn those? Spawn obstacle, here we go. So right now it's a div element. Let's just change that to say img, and then we don't need to give it a background color, and we should be good. Uh-oh, I forgot to give it a source attribute. So let's change that. Let's say new obstacle dot set attribute src, and then the file name is cactus.png. Okay, now let's try it. It works. And there's our little Chrome dinosaur game. Of course, you can change the size of these things, but that will probably affect the collision function as well as the jumping function, because the jumping event checks if I've reached the ground already. So let me show you really quickly. If I tried to change the size of this dinosaur, instead of 5 and 5, let's make it 10 and 10. Now when I run it, he's bigger, but the ground is going through him. So maybe an easy way to fix that would be to just lower the ground. So let's say ground is now at 55%. So that's good. And then I also want the cactus to be bigger. So let's say instead of 5%, this is 10% as well. Now you might already be thinking, isn't percents going to cause some problems if we resize the window? And you are absolutely right. But it's cool to see that that actually works. How do we fix that? Well, we've got a few options. As you can see, that is atrocious. It's stretched, but maybe people prefer it that way. If you don't, you could just assume that somebody is playing this only on their desktop, in which case you should size it accordingly. That's not always a good assumption to make, though, because if you have this online, maybe somebody is using their phone, and you might want it to look good on both the phone and the desktop, but it's up to you. In this tutorial, I'm not going to go any further as far as resizing, depending on the size of the screen goes, but it's really easy to find some JavaScript code that checks the dimensions of the screen of the device that this page is loaded on, and then you can use that to determine what size you want your objects to be as well. One last thing I do want to do, because this looks ugly, is the backgrounds here. I don't want them to even be there at all. So let's go back to Piskel, and let's change this so that there is no background. And I've already got the secondary color set to be nothing. So if I just right-click using the paint bucket tool, now there isn't anything there. Perfect. And it still has the shape of the cactus. And I can get rid of this one too if I don't want that there. Okay, I went ahead and did that with the dinosaur as well, and I saved them as images. So here is the finished product. Now they don't have the background. Perfect. And if I resize this, that's looking pretty good. But yeah, the cool thing is they can collide, and it actually shows the overlapping of the objects. There's no background getting in the way. And I realized it's actually not very hard to make these guys look good, even on a stretched screen. So let's just change it so it's not a percent anymore. Let's just make it be pixels. So if you go down here where it's dinosaur.png, right now it says width and height are 10%. Let's take away the percent, and let's make this be 50 px. So that's 50 pixels by 50 pixels. So the effect this will have is it'll be the same size no matter how much I stretch it. And maybe we can make him a little bit more than 50 pixels. Let's try 70 pixels. And you might just have to guess and check until you get it where you want it. I think that looks a little bit better, even on a stretched screen. All right, so that's as far as you need to go for the assignment. Of course, there's all sorts of things you could add. If you have any trouble with this, feel free to send me your code. I'll try to find if there are errors or something. I'll try to fix some for you. And if you want to add something to it, if you've done all this already and you have something specific you'd like to add, let me know and maybe I can help you with that too. But for now, I think I'm just going to play this game and see how far I can get. Ah, I died. New high score, 300.